Hello, friends. Today's question of the day: what's God's design for His church? We've got all these different sort of competing methodologies on how to put together a church and how to run it and who should be doing what. Well, what does God say about it? And we're going to turn to the book of Titus. And Titus is a great little book in the New Testament written by Paul to a man named Titus who was establishing the church that was planted by Paul on the island of Crete. And what we learned about Crete was a pretty rebellious, secular place. So pretty familiar for those of us who live really anywhere. So what's Paul's instructions to Titus about how he's to set up this church? Chapter 1, verse 5, this is why I left you in Crete, so that you might put what remained into order and appoint elders in every town as I directed you. If anyone is above reproach, the husband of one wife, and his children are believers, and not open to the charge of debauchery or insubordination. So, in other words, Paul wasn't to find one pastor to do all the work at a church and maybe give him a couple of people to sort of agree with him here and there. He was to appoint elders, a committee of men who were to run the church. One wasn't supposed to be above everyone else. All of these men were to be leading and contributing. And they weren't just supposed to be leading like a corporation, they were supposed to be teaching. And it goes on later in Titus 2, about what the people of the church are supposed to be taught, what the women are supposed to be taught about, what the men are supposed to be taught about, what the younger men and the younger women are supposed to be taught about, and all of it's to prepare them to lead the church in the future and to bring out the gospel, which is the purpose of the church. And as it says in chapter 3, they need to be submissive to authorities because their goal as a church isn't to run the state, but to be the light within the state, so that God's message of the gospel of salvation through Christ alone can go out through the church. So you want to know God's design for the church? Read Titus. It walks you right through a church in a place very similar to wherever you are today. I hope everybody's blessed by what God has to say in the book of Titus.